So here is the early career scientist that was announced to you shortly before. The reason I was ending up as an early career scientist, I was a bit too late, and since I'm quite shy, I picked the first table. And it turned out to be the best mistake I ever made, because it was a hugely interesting discussion with really different new perspectives from the young people. So thank you very much for your hospitality, guys, over there. They are far too much in behind. So it's in the nature of many good things that they come to an end. The Nexus Conference will soon be over, and it has indeed been a very good thing. And I am very happy to convey the thanks, the regards, and the sincere appreciation of the Rector, Under-Secretary General David Malone from Tokyo, to Reza, to the colleagues from the co-organizing institutions, and there have been many others. There have been session conveners, there have been panelists, keynote speakers, moderators, side event organizers, scientific advisory committee members. I'm sure whenever you make a list, you forget some of them. But as a new element, the key listeners, actually. So you have listened well and made a lot of it. Thank you very much also for this. I'd also like to thank the donors, BMBF, the Federal Ministry for Science and Research, and the State Ministry for Science and Arts of the Free State of Saxony. They have supported UNU-FLORES all the time, and they are just about to accomplish a new funding agreement, which will guarantee the further existence and the further prosperity of the Institute. Now, it's been the second Nexus Conference, so we are starting to make history. And we have grown, I think. We have shrinked a bit in duration. I think we have shrinked from 3 to 2.5 days, but there have been more participants. There were 360 last time, and there are 400, and this shows that there is a growing appreciation of this field. We have also grown qualitatively, I think. The different formats, as I have just said, the World Cafe, which I could make with the young scientists, the social media, I think, have played a role. I think there have been interaction in both ways, outside, and I think, in fact, many participants who have not participated physically in the conference have been participated. So I think this is also kind of new experiments which we are taking. The timing, I think, is a good one. 2015, the year of the first Nexus Conference, has been the year of launching and proclamation of many different and important agendas. I think Ambassador Qureshi has played one of the central roles in this process. But now it's time of implementation. And the Nexus Conference, I think, plays a hugely important role because it has its core the interconnectedness of these different goals, without the recognition of which I think the failure would be guaranteed. It calls for more. I don't want to give you orders, Reza and colleagues, but I think we are waiting already for the next conference. And I think to make it as good as possible, I would like to ask you again, for those of you who haven't done it, to fill in the forms, the participation, your judgment, your proposals for improvement. I think this will be greatly helpful. Before concluding, just let me make one observation. I could make many. I was amused again and again when speakers as well as participants kind of asked, well, do we understand what we mean by Nexus? And there were different understandings. And I don't look at this as a deficiency of the conference, but quite the opposite, actually. I think the Institute, the kind of branding of the Institute of Flores is the nexus between water, soil, and waste. And it has been able to convene so many other nexi or nexuses I asked many people what the plural of Nexus is. The word speller tells me both are possible, Nexi and Nexuses, but I think we are really kind of growing the view on the interconnectedness of many different things. One additional nexus maybe one could think about next time is the nexus to the private sector. It hasn't been represented very strongly yet. Again, not a deficiency, a part in development, but I think especially in the water domain, private sector will not be the only one in the implementation, but it will play a tremendously important role. Again, I say this as a colleague, Reza, not as a boss, as a vice rector. I think it would be another possibility to grow. However, today is not the moment, or now is not the moment to think about new participants, new instruments. I think it's the moment to be happy and satisfied about the hugely successful and nice conference, which I think brought new adds to your networks in many respects. My sincere thanks again to all who contributed, to the organizers, to you as participants, also to the German Hygiene Museum for this very nice venue we had, but also and particularly to those of you probably in the background, to many behind the scenes who supported the conference in the room, who took care about IT, about catering, and about many other things we haven't even seen. So I would like to ask all the participants to give them a hand for their friendly and efficient way they supported the conference. I found it great to be with you. Thank you very much.
Dear conference participants, organizers and supporters, I'm delighted to be able to attend this conference shortly before the end. My colleagues told me that this conference offered many opportunities for discussions and exchange on current research and initiatives applying the Nexus approach to resource management and benefits for achieving the sustainable development goals. I hope you could also get a deeper insight in the research activities of the three organizing institutions, namely United Nations University Institute for Integrated Management of Material Fluxes and Resources, UNU-FLORES. Second, the Leibniz Institute for Ecological, Urban and Regional Planning. And third, my institution, Technische Universität Dresden, namely the Faculty of Environmental Science and in the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering. The organizers of these last two Nexus conferences, and hopefully of many more in the future, are a very good example of what we call the synergy potential in the Dresden science region, with TU Dresden as a large university with activities not only in the field of engineering and natural science, but also in medicine, in humanities and social science. The cooperation of these three institutions is an example of the Dresden spirit, that is, to bundle the forces and to create something unique and convincing. I have the impression this has also been achieved within this conference. All three institutions are closely linked to each other, not only through research cooperations, but also through the personnel. The director of UNU-FLORES, Reza Adakanian, has been co-opted professor at the Faculty of Environmental Science in our School of Civil and Environmental Engineering since the founding of this UN institution in Dresden in 2012. TU Dresden was instrumental in establishing a constructing UNU-FLORES, a joint PhD program was set up. You already heard about this PhD program during the presentation of the poster prizes. Both institutions use joint seminars for the regular exchange. Leibniz Institute of Ecological, Urban and Regional Development and TU Dresden have several joint professorships. Bernhard Müller, my successor at this lectern, is one. Both institutions have an intensive collaboration in the field of internationally acclaimed projects. For instance, the EU project FloodSight on integrated flood research, or the project RECLAM, which means Integrated Regional Climate Adaptation Program for the model region Dresden. Environmental research is anchored in the profile of TU Dresden. The School of Civil and Environmental Engineering, especially the Faculty of Environmental Science, is predestinated for interdisciplinary and international research. A few months ago, the Center for Sustainable Assessment and Policy, PRISMA, was established as an interdisciplinary platform at TU Dresden. UNU-FLORES and Leibniz Institute of Ecological and Urban and Regional Developments as partners contribute significantly to the development of the center concept. The results of this conference is certainly provided valuable impulses for the future work of PRISMA and will further stimulate the cooperation with UNU-FLORES and the Leibniz Institute for Ecological, Urban and Regional Development. As being a vice rector for academic and international affairs, I am, of course, deeply interested in the impact of the conference results on our degree programs. I mean, we teach the drivers. And the transfer of knowledge. In my opinion, the substantiability debate within Dresden Nexus Conference also gives important impetus to our relevant international English master programs, namely hydroscience and engineering, tropical forestry and management, and ecosystem services. And of course, this conference will also find its resonance in the undergraduate and graduate degree programs of TU Dresden, which are taught in German. The impetus are especially relevant for the postgraduate training program of the Center for International Postgraduate Studies of Environmental Management, short CIPSEM, at TU Dresden. This year, it was this week on Thursday, CIPSEM could celebrate the 40th edition of the UNEP UNESCO BMUB International Postgraduate Course on Environmental Management for Developing and Emerging Countries. Participants of this course also took the opportunity and participate at this conference. The aim of the CIPSEM courses, which are funded by the United Nations Environment Programme and UNESCO and financed by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, Building and Nuclear Safety, is the promotion of environmentally safe and sustainable developing in emerging and developing countries. The course offer follows a participatory and application-oriented approach to prepare and strengthen the participants for management roles in their home countries. Due to the 40 years of history, CIPSEM has a worldwide and very active alumni network which connects the approximately 2,200 previous course graduates with lecturers and stakeholders from different areas. Before I reach the end of my speech, I would like to thank all those who have planned and implemented this second International Dresden Nexus Conference. Behind the success are usually many hands and heads. The cooperation between all participants in the three organizing institutions in Dresden and with many people from institutions around the world is impressive. Special thanks to the International Scientific Advisory Committee with the two co-chairs, Mrs. Lamizana Diallo and Mr. Bugadi. I would also like to thank Reza Adakanyan, Bernhard Müller, and Karl-Heinz Feger for the development of their integrative concept on which the Dresden Nexus Conference is based. Finally, I would like to express 3 wishes for you and the conference. I wish that the Nexus Conference will be even more successful in the coming years. I wish that the 3 organizing institutions continue to cooperate so constructively and successfully. And last but not least, that you, the conference participants, kept the interest in the theme sustainability goals and their implementation in the heart and continue to create the process which was launched by this conference in the future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, I can say, I think after these days of very intensive work and talking, I'm very pleased about this result and the conference. We had excellent presentations, we had exciting discussions, stimulating atmosphere, and a lot of friendship was created and intensified. Whoever was not clear about the nexus or the interconnection between Sustainable Development Goals and the Nexus Approach, I think should be clear now. I think we had a lot of clarification and a lot of possibilities to talk about that. And when I said during the opening, we will get great messages on Friday, I think the key listeners, the roundtables from the World Café, they have shown that this is true. This has become true. Thank you very much for that. What do I take away from here with my institution, maybe as well with some perspectives of a continuing cooperation among the 3 organizations? I think one point is that, we often talk about a nexus between water, soil, waste, maybe energy, food was mentioned, many other issues were mentioned here as well. But what really matters is people. What really matters is stakeholders in these processes. And so one of the messages for me here is Nexus is about the interconnection between people, stakeholders, businesses, policymakers, and so on. In other words, it's governance. It's governance and participation. This is a very important aspect, I think. A second message which I take is that the Nexus plays a role on different levels of government, of decision-making, of perspective as well. We're talking about on an international level with UN organizations when we talk about the Sustainable Development Goals. But they matter on the local level. So the global perspective and the local perspective have to come together. This means that when we talk about governance, Nexus as governance, we have to talk about multi-level, multi-sectoral governance. It's not enough just to have the international perspective. We have to have the local decision makers, the local stakeholders involved. And the third point, which I would like to take away, is related to the often mentioned urban-rural divide. I think we have shown here that the Nexus approach is an excellent opportunity to overcome that kind of challenge of the differentiation of here we are in the rural areas, we are dealing with agriculture, we're dealing with soil, with water, and so on and so on. And on the other hand, we have the urban issues, which are related to economy, with industry, with built-up environment, and so on and so on. We have shown here in many of the sessions that there's a lot of interconnectivity, and this means as well, if we talk about an integrative approach in Nexus, then we have to keep in mind that we talk as well about territorial integration. I think a very important point which we should take away from here. Based on that, on these three messages, what are the challenges for us in future? I think they were mentioned, but I would like to highlight a few. If we talk about people, if we talk about stakeholders, businesses, and so on, I would like to go with you. Yes, business have to be involved here, but as well the decision makers on the local levels, people. How do we reach people with our messages from here? How do the people who are visiting this museum participate in a way from our messages? How can we involve them in a better and broader way? The second point we have seen, it's not enough to talk about this nexus, the sustainable development goals on the high level or in the academic field. It was mentioned by someone in one of the sessions, where are the mayors here? I do not want to repeat the question and make the test. No, not good to have a frustration at the end, but I think there are not too many mayors here. But in future, yes, we have to take businessmen in. We have to take the interest of mayors to come or send their envies to come here. So we have to focus on the audience, the different types of audience, and how we can integrate them into our undertaking. And finally, concerning the urban-rural divide, which I mentioned, I think it gives us the opportunity, as I said, to have an integration here. But how many urban planners do we have here? How many people dealing with urban development, the built-up environment, and so on? Again, I do not want to make the test, but I think we have to come in with our messages and our discussions into the national urbanization policies. The national urbanization policies and the local discussions about urbanization and urban development, they are extremely important to be addressed, to be attracted to our discussion, and have to have a full integration. So I think we have a lot of things to do. This will keep us busy during the coming years, and I'm looking forward to that. So I would like to come to the end, and I would like to thank everyone, especially a wonderful team, my colleagues, Professor Adakanyan, Professor Feger, the colleagues around them. I would like to thank all those who have been heavily involved in the preparation and the implementation of this undertaking, this event, all the helping hands, and I would like to ask them, invite them, like Professor Adakanyan has mentioned already, to move forward and come in front. And with this, I would like to really thank everyone who has attended this great undertaking, this great event. I wish you a safe trip home, and come back in 2 years to DNC 2019. Bye-bye.